Somebody's having some fun, ain't they? Good afternoon, more Medic One. Today we've got a Craftsman rider on the bench, and we have got some major issues going. And it does crank and run. I'm gonna zoom in on the model number there for you. What it is the needle in the seat and the carburetor has turned loose, and it's filled the crankcase up with gasoline, and it's just the crankcase is full of gas and it's diluted the oil. Let me go ahead and crank it just for a second. And it runs okay. But she is smoking like a tar kiln, and oil leak city coming out of the muffler because the cylinder is just full of oil and gas. Let's take a look under here. We'll see if it's, well, no, it's good and dry under there where the main seal is. What happens is they mount these gas tanks higher than the carburetor for a gravity flow fuel system, and these carburetors have a float in there, kind of like your toilet, and you have a Viton tipped needle or a completely metal needle and a Viton seat. In this case, this is a Nicky carburetor, and the story that I got was that somebody has already rebuilt this carburetor, and I don't trust anybody else's rebuilds. I always will rebuild it, but I'm going to put a link in the description below how to rebuild a lawn tractor carburetor. And what I'm going to do, since this is a Nicky style carburetor, they're super finicky when it comes to them leaking fuel. If you don't replace the parts inside the emulsion tube slash seat assembly, and if you don't get those O-rings in there just right, I mean, I've done so many of these, I can do them in my sleep. But the average homeowner, not knocking anybody's ability or anything like that, but if you have a tractor, I mean, you know, a riding lawnmower, garden tractor with a Briggs and Stratton engine with a Nicky carburetor, highly suggest just buy a new carburetor. They're super cheap on Amazon and they work freaking great. Alrighty guys, first thing we're going to do is remove the blower shroud. Got 2 screws up at the front and then 2 screws there at the back. Go ahead and remove the dipstick. I'm just going to slide it off. Go ahead and remove the fuel lines from the carburetor and the tank vent line from the fuel tank. Let's go ahead and remove or disconnect the anti-after-fire solenoid. Let's go ahead and remove the 2 nuts that hold the air horn on. They're 7/16. Just inspect your gasket and make sure that gasket's good. These studs have 5/16 nuts built into them, so just go ahead and get you a deep socket and remove these. Lay the studs there up on the cylinder head. Pay attention to how your throttle linkage goes and your anti-surge spring. The surge spring and the throttle arm they go in different holes, and your choke, just remember it goes in the last hole on the carburetor or the choke butterfly arm. Just take your carburetor and just twist it to clear the choke arm right there. It'll pop out. Twist the carburetor on around. Just let it tangle right there next to the oil filter, and then the choke arm is off. Disconnect the carburetor from the the throttle rod. Just pops out along with the anti-surge spring, and just kind of let that just dangle there. Now we have the carburetor off, and I'm going to pressure it up, and let's see if this thing's leaking down. Just to verify that my tester is working, I'm going to put my thumb over the test hose. I'm just going to give it a pump. As you can tell, it's holding when I let go. So here's the new carburetor we'll be installing. And I'm going to invert it, make it go upside down. I'm going to pressure this new one up. It's holding good pressure. So that means the float and needle and seat assembly in the new carburetor is good. You can shake the carburetor and you can watch the needle fall on my gauge. Hook up the old carburetor to my tester. We're going to pump it up. As you can tell, falls right back down. We have a needle and seat failure inside this carburetor. Go ahead and install the new carburetor in reverse order. Always put a new gasket for your intake. Remember to put the choke in the last hole, just like that. Now then, now we're cooking with hot grease. Gasket, carb studs, that ought to be good just right there. Slide the intake boot and breather tube on. I'm going to go ahead and install a new fuel filter. Go ahead and trim your fuel filter, or the fuel line, to fit. I went ahead and put me a new hose on it. So before we light this thing off, I'm going to leave the top cover off for now. And as you remember in the beginning of the video, the crankcase was full of gasoline. So you need to get all that out, put fresh oil in it, and let's not put a new oil filter on it just yet. Let's go ahead and change the oil about 2 or 3 times with, you know, let it run for 10 minutes between your oil changes, because you don't want to get all that, you want to get all the gas out of the crankcase. You don't want to have any diluted oil in there, because you'll ruin the motor. Let's go ahead and let her down. Don't forget to hook up the anti-after-fire solenoid wire. Let's go ahead and fill the crankcase with, about 40 ounces, 48 ounces of 10W30 will be fine. Let's go ahead and give it a choke. This thing is probably going to smoke like a freight train. Off choke. Go ahead and get the blower shroud buckled down on this thing and do a couple more oil changes. Turned out real good. That Nicky aftermarket carburetor ran really well, and I'm very surprised, not surprised, but I'm glad that we are able to get some of this Chinese stuff that's dirt cheap, and it actually works good. And I put a lot of these Chinese carburetors on Hondas and Echoes and Steels, and I just don't have that many problems out of it. The carburetors adjust good, and man, I hate to be that way, but why spend $100, $125 on a carburetor when you can get one for like 12 bucks? It's ridiculous cheap. I don't understand it, and they work. Well, y'all have a good day. It's got a beautiful sunset tonight. Somebody's having some fun, ain't they? We'll catch y'all in the next video. Have a good day.